All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, obviously, if you're watching the video, the funny thing about it is, side tangent before I even get into this episode is Emma helps me get set up a lot with these electronics, and I say make it seem like I'm old and I don't know what I'm doing, but I get overwhelmed very easily with electronics and things and how things work. And to be full transparent, this is what I'm doing right now. So I got my iPhone with the Rode mics recording the video and the audio for the video. And that's a whole different beast of its own. Then I get over here, I got my MacBook and I got my Blue Yeti and I got QuickTime Player and I'm doing complete different audio. And that's because I'm very anal about specific avenues of the quality of these things, And obviously, if you've seen the last video, because this is the third episode of video, the last one being on relationship with food, is the top of my head's cut off. And it's funny because I usually get set up here. I got everything set up, the lights. And then Emma sits there behind the camera, gets it set up. And obviously she wasn't here today because I'm trying to be a big boy, a big adult, and get shit done myself. And obviously I fucking suck sometimes. But that's another reason why we're doing the video, is so you can just get more of my personality and things like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you should be seeing the side of my head. I shouldn't sit up too high or I'll fuck the whole video up. But nonetheless, rant over. What I wanted to talk about today is, the topic is be you, because there's only one of you and no one else can be you. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because, I think the craziest thing about my life, and I'm not saying I got lucky by any means, but, my business, where I'm at in my life, every single part of it was a dream. And I'm going to break it all down to you guys, right? And the reason why I'm so grateful and I'm just so, excited to talk about this topic in particular, especially with it being video, because you can see a lot more of my personality and how much more excited I get. But it's like my whole life is revolved around me being my best version of me, unapologetically, relentlessly, and I just get to lead by example with my business of clients, my community, my calls, my mentors, everything. There's not a hat I'm wearing that's not me at all. You know what I mean? There's none of it that is. All of it's me. And even me doing the video, the very first episode on the video, if you watched it, I was honest about even talking about trying to cut corners with not doing the video before, right? But I'm so much more proud of who I am of the person that I'm becoming and who I am today. And that I'm excited to do these videos. I'm proud to look back and see, proud to the point that I don't let fucking cut my head off another video affect me whatsoever, where it would have before. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, that's the most impactful part of my job as a coach, mindset and performance coach, is helping people be themselves and creating their lives around that. Because life is too short to try to be anyone that we're not. And being yourself is just very scary. It's very intimidating. It's very overwhelming. And there's a lot of questions that got to be answered. There's a lot of different things. And the craziest thing about it is there's so many right ways of being a good person. There's so many wrong ways of being a good person. There's so many different things, right? So it's very overwhelming. But I want to break it down to you in a few different avenues, because I think the best thing that I've ever done for myself personally was go all in on myself. That was honestly the best thing I've ever done, was just go all in on myself. And it's funny because sometimes even saying it, I get choked up, because as I'm doing this episode and recording it for you guys, I'm literally living and eating and breathing this to you. And I say it to literally, so today, Sunday, as I'm recording this episode, and I have Fridays and Saturdays are usually my check-ins for the most part. Sundays I do a little bit of the stragglers and don't get them fucking in. Fuck you guys, just joking. But Friday I do a lot of calls sometimes, right? And it's funny, especially on our live calls when we have with our clients, you can always talk to them, and it's so real when you just be like, look, I'm struggling with this too. And it's funny because us all being the best versions of us, it's crazy with how it's just people put you on pedestals because of different accolades and different things you've done in your life. And it's because of just the success that you've got, but I'm just being me. So I'm still struggling with self-doubts. I'm still struggling with insecurities. I'm still struggling with what's right, what's wrong, all these different things. But once you find the blissfulness and just understanding that there's no right way of being you, or no right way of being in general, then that's where you get that grace to really just find out what that is for you. And here's how we're going to break it down. The first one is you got to start somewhere and just move forward. And what I mean by this is you got to accept where you're at currently, because in order to accept change, you got to accept what you want to change in the first place, right? So if you want to lose weight, you got to admit that you need to lose weight. You want to gain muscle, you got to admit you got to gain muscle. You want to raise, you got to admit you're not happy with the money you're making right now, or you can't do what you want with the money you're doing right now. So you got to accept 110% of where your situation is. Whatever it is, how are you feeling physically? Are you happy with how you look in the mirror and how you feel in your clothes? How are you showing up at work? How are you showing up in relationships? All these different things. Because Once you get a concrete, true, honest, integral understanding and clear picture of where you're at right now, that's when you can start to cycle and dissect through different avenues of your life to really figure out where you got to go. And that's all I did. Like, I remember, to give you a prime example of what I mean by this, is I remember working at Good Life Fitness. Now, me growing up, now if you've been here for a long time, you'll know this. Like, I never had very much guidance in terms of what was good success. So literally in my head, full transparency, on paper, growing up on welfare, like I grew up on like $11,000 a year. And I remember being like if you don't get your GST, making over $45,000 a year, you were considered wealthy. Like, that's how like low income I grew up. And I say that not to shit on that, because if that's something that you look at, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's people out there that make billions of dollars. Like Bill Gates, there's a stat that went out years ago that wasn't even worth his time to pick up a $100 bill. That's what we're all trying to fucking get here, you know? And for me personally, I remember looking at Good Life. I was like, oh, I'm so successful. And look at my family, look at everyone around me. But 3 years later, I'm sitting there spinning my tires trying to see what's successful. And it's because I needed to see what that next level was. But I couldn't see what the next level was until I accepted where I was. And I remember I was sitting there in the office. I remember just looking at the sales board one day. And I remember I was like, I don't know where I want to go with my life, but I know this is not it. And then as soon as I had that subtle shift in my mindset, my perspective, to at least look down at what I was doing, where I was working, what I was going through on a day-to-day basis, it allowed me that bliss, that grace to really like assess what I was doing, what I was going through each day, and became more aware. That's when you got to like really understand that like that's when it becomes another topic of embracing these emotions and doing all these different things, right? Which gets me to my second point, which is believing in yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And like when you start to retract, like say you start somewhere, this is my life, I'm working at a job I don't like, I'm in a relationship that I'm not showing up to, and I'm not taking care of my fitness, right? As soon as you start to make this step, then you start to walk forward into this life. And then that's when you really get to understand, do you believe you deserve this change? Because if you don't believe you deserve this change, no one else is going to do it. And as you become like embraced with these adversities, these emotions, these things like at work, if you admit you don't like it, you're going to act different at work. Can you put your ego and pride aside and get the work done to work on your life outside of it? Or are you going to be an emotional wreck in the office and kind of take it out on everyone else? Same with your relationship. If you're not showing up, whether they're not showing up or you're not showing up, are you going to take it out on them? You're going to allow them to take it out on you? Or are you going to be mature about the situation and embrace it and make the changes? Because you can't do any of that without belief. You know what I mean? You're going to react with your emotions if you don't believe, and then you're going to be running all over the place. And that's not what we want to talk about here. But you got to believe in yourself so much about it, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to come true. But the next thing after that is like really understanding that you got to set high ass ambitious goals and really go after them. Because that's how you just start to navigate the life. Because it's always about where have I come from to understand where I'm at to make the appropriate adjustments to where do I want to go. And if you don't believe in yourself for any of these avenues, you're never going to see fucking success ever. Now to backpack the second point, which is the third point, and it's kind of like a bigger conversation, because I want to give you more of an example of believing in yourself and like, you know, getting you to that next level, because that comes with the next part where it's like, you know, it's not going to be easy and you got to expect shit. And that's the third point, is like, it's not going to be easy by any means. That's why I'm saying like, shoot for the stars and have like very, very ambitious goals. And that's kind of what I mean about talking about both of the points together, is because, you know, I want to share some of my goals that I believe in myself and how ambitious I'm being with them and how high I'm sharing them, like how high I'm fucking reaching. Because again, like full transparency, like that's why I'm bringing the video podcast back. Like, you guys can hear it. You can hear the conviction in my voice. But I want to say it from a point of like just purely believing in myself on this planet, which is going to lead me to my last point of you being you, of how powerful that is like, you know, what I'm about to say isn't going to take away from anything else, but there's other people out there that have goals, that they have similar goals as me, right? But I'm a kid that's broken from the ghetto. And the reason I'm saying all this is because, again, as you attack your goals, you're going to have to expect shit. I don't have a good understanding of how life should work and where there's money and all these different things, but I embrace the emotions every day of what's going to get me there. I want a Lamborghini one day. Like, I want to look outside and have a Lamborghini Urus, which is an SUV, and I'm saying that with full conviction, and people laugh at me when I say that. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I'm not trying to live life mediocre and just kind of be okay. I want a fucking Lamborghini in my house. Maybe not this house. Maybe not this townhouse. I don't know. I don't have that image yet. But I know Lamborghini. You know, my first step is a Tesla SUV. Then it's a Lamborghini SUV. But that's my fucking hierarchy of the top. You know what I mean? So if that's my goal, I'm going to have to embrace and expect a lot of shit. And if I don't believe myself or understand where I'm at, I'm never going to get that. You know, two other simple things is, you know, getting back into bodybuilding. I want to win a men's physique championship overall. when I say that, there's hundreds of people that are competing, hundreds of people want to do that, but that doesn't mean I want to take away from anyone else. And anyone that actually truly knows me, I say that, like, you know, that people make jokes like, oh, compete with me. They come, more the merrier, man. The whole fucking idea with competing for me is showing up the best version and everyone else doing that as well. And me, my goal is to win a men's physique champion overall. And it's like, obviously I'm going to aim fucking high. And the cool thing is that I'm going to embrace every emotion that I got to go to have that standard. But if I don't believe myself or understand where I'm at, I'm never going to get there. Same with like literally, truly, I've never shared this out loud, and I've been talking about this with my clients a lot more. But I want to be on Men's Health Magazine for like what I'm doing right now, speaking to you on a podcast in my fucking office. Literally, like I want to have a studio one day. I want to have something like Andrew Huberman. I want to go back and get my master's one day. Christian Williamson, his fucking podcast, like all these different things. Like I like that, and I want to do that on a higher scale. And eventually, that'd be my full-time job. Be on Men's Health Magazine and talk about my story of just what I've been through and how that stuff is impactful. Because again, leading to the fourth point is being me, being you is the ultimate power. You know, and to share the last part that I'm truly, truly going for, like of my goals of how ambitious and how high I want to be a billionaire before I'm 40. And I don't think that is fucking greedy, you know? And actually, like before I retire and actually I wrote this a few years ago, 45 to 75, or before, I don't even know why I said 75, 45 to 55, I think I was like 775, I think trillion or billion. Yeah, I was like 775 billion is what I want to be worth before I'm like done and have my grandkids and things like that. Do you know how crazy that is? But I'm not saying this from an arrogant standpoint, saying I'm looking up at the fucking stars and saying I deserve it. I'm saying it like I believe myself to get there. If I get halfway there, who gives a flying fuck? You know what I mean? But at the same time, I believe myself with full conviction. I know there's going to be a lot of shit that comes with that, but there's so much power because if I can be me, the best version of me, and as I have been the last 3 to 4 to 5 years, and get this much closer to it, it's absolutely insane what you can do as you can know where the fuck you are at right now and be honest and integral of the flooring you're standing on. Are you happy with your physical state? Are you happy with your emotional state? Are you happy with your career? Are you not? Whatever it is, understand the solid, firm footing you're on. That's step one. The second thing is believe in yourself relentlessly to make those changes, and then on the other side, that you do deserve whatever it is the visions are. And that's what I'm saying. Be fucking ambitious. Shoot fucking high. Shout out Julian. I actually sent him a voice note the other day. Like, everyone knows that, like, from me growing up, Julian's my rib. He's my boy. Like, he is everything to me. And I'll never forget him yelling at me, being like, yo, punch the fuck up. What are you doing? Like, aim higher in life. And it's like, it's so true. So same thing with this is like, believe in yourself and punch the fuck up. You want a better relationship, better physical state, better mental state, better fucking career, whatever it is. Excuse me. It's fucking out there. Just as long as you get to the third step, which is embracing this shit and expecting it to be fucking hard. That's why no one's doing it. That's why there's so very little people in the real world that are actually doing successful things because they expect it, you know? And it's like, that's a whole other conversation, you know? But ending it off with the last point, literally wrapping up with a nice like shell and a bow, is being you. You know, there's nothing more powerful than being you. And sometimes it's very hard for us to do that because we're very, very scared of what's inside. And I think the most powerful thing about that is like, you know, it's as cheesy as it is to end it on it with the quote of like, you know, running through the storm. And like I said, the best thing I've ever done in my entire life was be the best version of me. And if you can embrace it, believe in yourself, and just start, I can promise you, you'll look back one day. And actually, let's see if we'll look back one day in this video of Men's Health Magazine. You know what I mean? Maybe let's see if we look back in this video and I'm a men's physique overall champion of some show. You know what I mean? Let's see if I'm a billionaire at 40. But the main point of it is I'm going to be relentlessly me because that's the ultimate power that's there. And so should you. So should you. I'm not even going to edit that out. Let's get it.